Hi, this video clip is for my Art 8 students. It's an introduction to two-point perspective. Before we begin our unit on two-point perspective cities, we need to know a few things about creating a building in two-point perspective. First, we need a ruler, a pencil, and an eraser. Once you have these three materials, you will have everything available to you to create the illusion of a building in three-dimension on a two-dimensional flat surface, which is your paper. First, we're going to take our ruler, holding it horizontally, just like the paper is, and we're going to place the ruler on the top, parallel to the edge of the paper. We're then going to create a horizon line across the paper, which in our cities will represent the viewer's eye level where the ground meets the sky. Again, this is called the horizon line. So I'm going to number it number 1. Down here, we're going to say horizon line. Okay, the next thing we need to do is create two vanishing points. We're going to place our ruler with the 0 as the end of the ruler, not the ruler itself, at the end of the paper lined up underneath the horizon line. We're going to come in 1.5 inches on each side and put a dot. That dot is called our vanishing point. That's where all lines meet or converge, the vanishing point or VP. Okay, number 2. So down here I'm going to put vanishing point. In two-point perspective, we have two vanishing points. Okay, now we're going to line up our ruler, the edge of the paper, and this is a 12-inch piece of paper when it's held horizontally. And we're going to go to the 6, because 6 is half of 12, and we're going to put a little X on top of that. Please don't make a dot, you'll confuse yourselves later on. That X is a reference point. We're going to now turn our ruler vertically. We're going to line the 0 up on the horizon line, bring it next to the X. Make sure your ruler is perpendicular or forms a right angle at the bottom here, the bottom of the paper. So line up one of these black lines with the bottom edge of the paper. You're going to now create a vertical line starting at the 2 and going all the way to the 5.5. We have a 3.5-inch vertical line. This vertical line has a very important name. Okay, it's number 3, and it is called the front edge. The front edge. Okay, we're going to take the top and the bottom of the front edge and bring it to each vanishing point using very light lines. These lines have names you probably learned in 7th grade, and they are called orthogonals, or guidelines, or convergence lines. So I am lining the top and the bottom of my ruler up with the top of the front edge and the vanishing point. I am creating light orthogonals. So this is number 4. I'll put it over here. Number 4 is called orthogonal, or guideline, or convergence lines. Converge means meet, and they all meet at the vanishing point. Okay, so now we have a front edge with orthogonals going back to each vanishing point. We need to create the sides of what will be a building, and the way you do that is to create side edges. Side edges are formed by creating a vertical line that is perpendicular to the bottom of the paper, okay, in between the orthogonals on either side of the front edge. How far you make it depends on how large you want your building. Our cities will include 5 buildings. So you're going to have many different sizes, and it all depends on what you like. So I'm going to start with my ruler on the front edge and slide it just so that I get a little idea of how wide I want my building. I'm going to create a vertical line in between these two orthogonals that I have created, making sure that my ruler is perpendicular to the bottom of the paper before I create that line. Now, what I'm going to do is do the same thing on the other side. Going to slide my ruler over, making sure the bottom is lined up with the bottom of the paper with one of these black lines so that it's completely perpendicular and vertical. Your side edges are parallel to your front edge as well as the edge of the paper. Okay, so these are side edges. Number five are side edges. Side edges. Okay, before we can say that this is actually a building, we need to take a look at the top here. It's missing the top part. The way that you get the top part, you start with the right or the left, it doesn't matter, side edge, right at the top here. If you are to the right of the vanishing point, you take the top to the opposite or left vanishing point. If you are to the right of the front edge, then you take it to the left vanishing point. Same thing with the left side edge. You take the top of that to the right or opposite vanishing point using orthogonals. Once you do that, you can see, once you erase the top two orthogonals, that you now have what looks like a building. And that is the first step to creating a building in two-point perspective.